everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Be Woman online presence. My name is Disa, and I'm a fertility awareness educator and holistic reproductive health practitioner. And I would like to start with giving a lot of thanks and gratitude to all of the women that will be joining today. First of all, you are my greatest teachers and the ones who are daily inspiring me to do my work of empowering women through giving them the knowledge about their bodies. And then a big, big, big thank you to Dear Sharada and the Be Woman Sisterhood that is constantly reminding us of the power of how we can be together and the power of presence in our bodies. So thank you, Sharada, for inviting me to take part in this and to teach. I came across and into this community through Dear Sisters, and yeah, I was ready to take the step to make everybody, every woman, my sister, and to really practice to support her just for being a woman. So today I'm going to share a little bit about what fertility awareness is and body literacy. And I will be talking about the nectars of our yoni and many other things. So we're going to soon dive into the more intellectual part and the teachings, but we're going to start with a small meditation. So we can just close our eyes, find a comfortable position. Take a deep breath. Invite relaxation of your whole face and your head. Letting the small muscles in your face relax, your forehead, your eyebrows. Letting the eyes find a place behind the eyelids to rest. Relaxing your jaw and your tongue. For those who are joining, we are doing a small meditation to dive into this session together. Please just find a comfortable position. Start to relax your faces. And we're letting go of the jaw muscle, letting the tongue become all swollen and relax inside of your mouth. And we're starting to breathe in through the nose and out through our relaxed mouths. We are breathing in through the nose, out through our relaxed mouths. Long, slow breaths, settling into our bodies, our precious temples, our best friends, our consorts. And letting this relaxation spread into your shoulders and arms. Feeling the tingling of your fingertips and your palms. Letting our breath expand, touching our shoulders and our shoulder blades, creating space between our rib cage. Opening us to receive. Breathing in through the nose, out through your relaxed mouth. And we are expanding the breath further down into our diaphragm. We're letting the diaphragm expand, become soft and open. And we're using it. As we are breathing out, we are pushing all of the air out of our abdomen with the help of our diaphragm, letting the belly button go towards your spine. Let the air come out with a little sound or a sigh or maybe a slow humming or a chant, releasing all of the air out of your abdomen. We are dropping further and further down in our bodies, leaving our heads behind. Dropping into the belly, letting our beautiful bellies expand like a big Buddha belly, just opening it to receive. Maybe you want to put your hands on your belly and just feel the beauty and the softness of this open belly that is just expanding and breathing. Beautiful. Oh. And we are letting our breath expand further down into our bodies. We're entering our womb space and coming down into the pelvic floor. Relaxing all of the muscles in the pelvic floor. Relaxing your buttocks, all of your yoni. Just letting it connect into the ground, into the earth that is surrounding you, supporting you, holding you. We are in full connection with Mother Earth, our provider, our daily caretaker, the one who gives us unconditionally everything we need. So we're just breathing, expanding our breath, and slowly, slowly just opening our bodies, our wombs. And I'm going to read a small mantra that is the Be Woman mantra. You can just close your eyes and relax and focus on your womb, and just focus on your womb space and your pelvic floor. Just feel your body. Feel the beauty of being alive, of having a female, beautiful body. Just breathing. No woman, no woman, be woman, be woman, all women, all women. Nature nurture me. Nature nurture me. And if you want to chant along, you can do that. All women, let's celebrate all women. All women, yeah, no woman, no woman. Be woman, be woman, be yourselves. All women, be yourself. You are so precious and so strong, so radiant. Nature, nurture me. Great Mother, I am your child. I am so grateful for all of your gifts, everything you are giving me daily. So thank you all that are joining. It's beautiful to see this little eye that is like 8, 9, 7, 6. Sound is a bit soft. I'll just have to talk louder. Welcome, Ida. Welcome everybody that is here. It's beautiful to see you. We've just had a small meditation. And I'm going to dive into speaking a little bit about my story and how I came to be right here, right now. And I, like probably many of you, have been experimenting in my life how to be able to be an empowered sexual being, a strong, empowered sexual woman, and at the same time being able to have, I'm heterosexual, at the same time being able to have intimate encounters with men without becoming pregnant. So I tried birth control pills. I tried copper IUDs. I tried hormonal IUDs. I tried little implants in my arm. I tried many things until I came to the conclusion that none of this was for me. I cannot, my body didn't want to accept any of these contraceptives. So my path led me to something called the Justice Method. And the Justice Method is a method of birth control, but it's also a way that we can start to know our bodies and our hormones and our cyclicality. It's a way to get closer to our bodies, our wombs, our yonis, our nectars. And it's also a way of getting to know your health in a different perspective. You are not putting your health in the hands of someone else anymore. You are putting the health in your own hands. You learn to interpret your own charts, your own hormonal balances, etc. So this is what we're going to dive into a little bit today. We don't have a lot of time, but that is why we have the year-long program. And yeah, I'm really, really grateful to be here, because sharing fertility awareness and the charting and this knowledge is basically what makes my life very worth living. Every day I wake up and I'm longing to see my clients, I'm longing to teach my courses, and because you are all my teachers, you all give me so much back. So I thought we were going to plan this little session by me diving into the nitty-grittiness of I have some beautiful anatomic figures and I will be drawing a little bit, but then in the end I would like for you to collect some just some common questions, like questions that you have regarding fertility awareness, your fertility, your yoni, your nectars as well, and so on. So you can just prepare your questions. I will look in the chat in the end and pick out some of them, or maybe be able to answer all of them. We'll see. but we're going to dive into the nitty gritty of this anatomy part, because we can't really start to learn fertility awareness without being knowledgeable about how the body works and how our reproductive organs work. So I'm going to start by just like naming the different parts, and also we're trying to understand where the different kind of discharges and nectars, etc., is coming from. So I have my friend Kim with me. This is my beautiful colleague. Her name and his name is Kim, and she's got one prop here that is a yoni, and we also have a lingam, and we will look at both of them, but we're going to start with this beautiful yoni. So this part is called the vulva. This part where it's got the inner and outer labia, these beautiful lips here, this is called the vulva. It includes the inner and outer labia, the clitoris, the vaginal opening, the urethral opening where we pee through, and the pubic bone, right? So here in the opening of the vulva, there are little glands called Bartholin's glands. So when we get horny, they get lubricated, and we have this nectar that is coming, that is clear and stretchy and a little bit flowery, musky smell, right? That is our, when we are aroused, nectar. So that is one of the amazing nectars that comes from the yoni. Another thing that comes from the yoni is something we call vaginal discharge. Maybe that is what you see when you pull your panties down and there's something a little bit dry patch in there, right? That is called vaginal discharge. And that is actually like old cells from the inside of the vaginal canal that are coming out and kind of cleaning out the yoni. She's like self-cleaning herself all the time. So this that is coming out daily, that is making a little bit like dry, white, yellowish patch in your panties, that is what we call discharge. Vaginal cell slough. It's normal. If it starts to get a little bit grainy and like cottage cheese, then you probably have a fungal infection. You have to call me. Right. So yeah, we could look at this forever. It's so beautiful. I love it. But we're going inside, right? So inside is the urethra, or the bladder, right? The bladder is just behind the pubic bone, and behind the bladder is the uterus. So she's a little bit tilted like this over the bladder. That's why when you get pregnant, you have to pee all the time. And here is the vaginal canal. You see that it's like flexible, and it actually also is. It's to be able to expand when a baby comes through. So this is called the vulva. And from the vaginal opening to the actual start of the womb and the cervix, that is called the vaginal canal. And in there, we have the beautiful G-spot, the female prostate, just up here in the top of the vaginal opening. And you can feel her and you can also have a look at her if you squat and you open your labia and you're a little bit aroused. You can see very clearly that you have your female prostate there. And the female prostate also ejaculates a certain liquid that is been called also like the nectar of life, etc., etc. So now we have the lubricative liquid coming from Bartholin's glands. That's one of the nectars. We have number 2, the vaginal cell slough that comes out a little bit all the time, which is nothing you really notice. And 3, we have the nectar coming from the amazing G-spot that is also the female prostate, that is a very alkaline substance that we can ejaculate. All women can ejaculate, some do, some don't. You can train. You can train to get there. Right, so we've gone through the vaginal canal all the way up to the beautiful womb. And we are going to talk a little bit about this beautiful creature. So the womb is a muscle, and this muscle can hold many, many, many kilos of water and baby and the placenta, etc. It's very, very strong. And what holds it all together and holds it inside is this amazing part of it called the cervix. The cervix, you can feel if you wash your hands and cut your nails and use your fingers to enter your vaginal canal, you can actually feel this beautiful opening, the nature's gate that is the great gateway into your womb and into your body, right? So this is not, the womb space is not only our like power center, it's actually what's become, for me, it has become the center of my being. My being is not really, it's quite a lot up here still, but I'm really trying to reach into my womb and stay there and let her be my first brain and not this, because she's a great thinker and she is also a great inspirer. So we were at the fourth nectar, right? And the fourth nectar that we're going to talk about a lot when it comes to fertility awareness is the cervical mucus. The cervical mucus that I would like to call, that I call nectar most of the times, is what makes sperm survive inside of the body. And in cervical mucus, sperm can survive for up to 6 days. Here are the fallopian tubes. They are not attached to the actual ovaries. The ovaries are in themselves, like they are their own, and the fallopian tubes can reach, it can actually reach over to the other side and pick up an egg from that side if it has to. They're like arms of this beautiful muscle and uterus. And from the ovary, from the first day of your cycle, you're starting to mature a new egg. Actually, up to 30 different eggs every 30 to 40 different eggs every cycle. But only one of them, most of the times, if it's not like two egg siblings, uh, only one of them will be released, right? The follicles that are maturing in the ovary, they create something called estrogen. Maybe quite a few of you have heard about estrogen. I was giving a workshop yesterday in Stockholm and people were like, everybody knew what estrogen was, but progesterone, not many people knew what it was, but you will know after today. So a lot of estrogen is made in these follicles that are maturing. So you can think about it like they're almond size, these little ovaries, and the uterus is about a pear shape, like an upside down pear, right? So it doesn't really tell the truth, right? So this estrogen is made, and the estrogen influences the cervix. And the cervix will create these beautiful nectars that will run down your vaginal canal and come out in your panties and on the paper when you go and wipe yourself when you go to the bathroom. Many of us Westerners, we use toilet paper. So that's what we use in this method. And then what you can do when you wipe and you look at the paper, you can pick up the mucus and you can stretch it and you can look at it and you can analyze it. What color is it? What consistency? And does it smell? Maybe what does it taste like? Because the vaginal cell slough and the vagina in general is very acidic. It's got a pH of 4, which means that it's quite sour. It's like, you feel it, it's more like yogurt. While this nectar, the cervical nectar, coming from nature's gate, right, the bottom of the uterus, it's very special. It's alkaline. Okay, so now we're gonna have to take this guy. So this is the lingam. Isn't it beautiful? Here are the balls. And the balls, or the testicles, they are outside of the male body for a reason, because they like it cool. They like it cool, and if it gets too hot, the sperm will die. There's this old traditional Incan culture that they were telling that the men used to sunbathe their balls so that the sperm would die and they would become infertile for like that day or those hours, so they could go home and make love to their wives without, or women, whatever lovers they had, without having to worry about that maybe, you know, it would not maybe they would make someone pregnant, blah, blah, blah. That's interesting. So here, the sperm are made in these testicles. Both male and female reproductive system are ruled from the brain. We're not going to go into that. That's what you learn when you get deeper into the fertility awareness, how this messaging system and the hormonal system work. But anyway, the sperm are made in the testicles, and then they travel up through this, the blue one here. It's called the vas deferens, and it travels and it mixes with these substances. One of the substances comes from the seminal vesicle. So this seminal vesicle gives a certain kind of liquid, and together with the prostatic liquid, they mix and become a cocktail. So what is coming out as an ejaculate, this beautiful liquid, the nectar of the man, is actually a cocktail. So it's a cocktail of prostatic fluid, seminal vesicle fluid, and sperm. Sperm is about 10%. Yet there's like millions and millions of them. I think like hundreds of millions, depending on the, the strength of the sperm, right? If a man has a low or a high sperm count. What about this? This little gland is also really important. It's called Cowper's gland because of the guy that found it. Yes, we live in this patriarchal world. Okay, it's called Cowper's gland. And what Cowper's gland does is that before the actual ejaculation happens, it gives this precum. It's this also lubricative, clear, a little bit stretchy substance that will come out before the sperm and everything. And why is that? Because sperm don't like it acidic. They want a very alkaline environment. Prostatic fluid, seminal vesicle fluid are both very alkaline. That's how they survive. This is the bladder. So the bladder takes the urine from the bladder, takes the same path as the sperm does out through the lingam, right? So to protect the sperm, Cowper's gland will secrete this beautiful liquid that makes way for the sperm to enter through the lingam and to survive all the way, right? Because if there would be any urine there, they would die. They're very sensitive. So if it's a little bit acidic, they will die, right? So now we know that, and this is why women have been using vinegar, lemon, Coca-Cola to douche themselves, to put it on sponges. This has been like thousands of years back of contraceptive. We've been using all kinds of acidic things. So we knew this already, like way, way back. This is old knowledge. It's just coming back now, just like the resurrection of the sacred feminine and the goddess. It's all coming back. This knowledge is coming back to us. Right. So Cowper's gland, precum. In this precum, there can be sperm. So this is good for us to know, because if we start having intercourse with a man without protection, then his precum could contain sperm. Now we know that. According to science, every second man has sperm in his precum, every second man doesn't, but we cannot know, and they cannot know, right? Right. So let's get back to her. So this cervical mucus, do you remember what I was saying about that nectar? That it's very, very alkaline, which means that sperm that don't want it acidic can survive in this alkaline environment for up to 6 days. So the sperm will travel through the vaginal canal up into the cervix, and they will stay here inside of the cervix in what we call cervical crypts. Here we have a little bit clearer picture of what the cervical crypts can look like. So here's the vaginal canal, and the cervical crypts are like tree branches coming out from the cervical opening, from the cervical canal. And you see that this is like the cervical canal leading into the uterus. And if you go up into the fallopian tubes, you have a straight connection to the belly, right? and to the abdominal space. This is why it's so important that this nature's gate is guarded. And it's guarded by the nectars. It's guarded by mucus. And this mucus could either be allowing, it can either be like, yes, you can come inside, it's fine, it's this hotel, you can chill out here for up to 6 days, you know, they will have everything they need. There is certain mucus that will open the cervical crypts. There will be there will be nectars that will feed them, etc. There's even nectars, special nectars that kind of tell the sperm that are not good enough that they cannot continue. I know, it's so beautiful, it's so intricate, and it's so delicate, it's so amazing. So that's why cervix is like, I'm her greatest fan. It's so beautiful. And this is what fertility awareness is based upon. It's nature's gate, open or closed. If she is open when menstruation comes out, when cervical mucus is flowing, cervical nectar is flowing, or if she is closed. If she is closed, nothing can come in, nothing can come out. There's this stop here that is acidic, and it's got a lot of like this lymphocytes and macrophages that will eat bacteria, and that will, like, sperm will die within seconds or minutes if they meet that kind of mucus. So the cervix will make different kinds of mucus. We separate it into two: the friendly type for sperm and the unfriendly type, basically. All right, so then we know a little bit more about the anatomy of the womb and our reproductive organs. We're going to look a little bit at the menstrual cycle. So maybe I'll move back a little bit. The menstrual cycle is, I don't know, I remember when I had my first workshop with one of my teachers. I was about 25, I was in a folk university school, and I was so shocked that nobody had told me this. This knowledge, it's such basic knowledge to know how our female bodies work and our cycles work. And I mean, I got my period when I was about 13. And I had been menstruating and ovulating for so many years when I got this knowledge. And I was quite upset, and I got quite radical after that. I got like really into doing like a lot of charting and a lot of like measuring my temperatures, and yeah. So I really got into it. But it wasn't until many years later, after studying herbal medicine, Chinese medicine, shiatsu, basic medicine in university, etc., that I really got like, no, but I need to teach this. You know, I cannot let the women walk around out there without this knowledge. It's so important. And one of the men actually that was entering the workshop yesterday, he was like, he has teenage daughters, and he was like, he was almost crying. He was so disappointed in living in a society where women are lied to. He was like, why are we lying to our women? He was like devastated. So he was going to start a women's group and invite me. He's a cool guy. All right, let's get into the cycle. So this is a menstrual cycle. Since I can't ask you, we're going to do 30 days to start with. A total of 30 days in this cycle. And this woman will be ovulating. We'll see when she will be ovulating. Anyway, we always count a menstrual cycle from the first day of our period. The first day of this beautiful red flow, the moon time, the very powerful time for a woman to step inside and do her rituals and really like be with her blood. So this is menstruation. And then already little follicles in the ovaries are starting to mature and growing, and they are secreting estrogen. And estrogen is making the body temperature really low, or really low. It makes it lower than usual. Okay, so estrogen being produced but in the ovaries, the little white things here, right? From the follicles that are maturing, the follicles are like the eggs or the shell around the egg that will crack and be the egg that can be fertilized or not. So it makes a low body temperature. Do you remember why it should be low? It's low because the sperm hang out outside of the body in the balls, right? That's why it needs to be low. Normally, after we've had our menstruation, we will have a dry period. And a dry period in fertility awareness means that nature's gate is closed. Nothing coming in, nothing going out. There's an acidic plug that is closing the uterus off. Okay, so nothing can come in, nothing can come out. Bacteria dies, sperm dies, everything dies. We are what we call infertile. The dry days when there's no nectar flowing where the sperm can survive. After these dry days, we're starting to get patches of more and more of this beautiful cervical mucus, right? The nectar that is flowing down. Huh? And here in this, here's sperm. Sperm can survive, remember, up to 6 days. 6 days. When the estrogen that is produced in the follicles, here it's getting more and more, the follicles are growing, they're getting bigger and bigger in the ovaries until the estrogen is so high, it creates this surge of estrogen and it triggers luteinizing hormone, LH. And LH comes and it makes the egg crack. It makes the follicle open and release the egg into the fallopian tubes, into these little arms here, right? And these little things are picking it up from the ovary. It picks it up from the ovary. It can feel it. It's like hands that are like touching the ovaries and then fishing this little egg up. And the egg enters the fallopian tubes. It's entering into the arms here. So the egg is released. And this is a very important part. It's called ovulation, right? Many of you have felt it. Some of you have not. Many of you have felt and seen this beautiful nectar and all of this mucus. And we're pretending like this is day 15 of the cycle. What happens when ovulation happens and the egg leaves the ovary is that it can be fertilized. This is our most fertile time. But all of this actually, when there is fertile mucus where sperm can survive for up to 6 days, this is our fertile window. All of this is our fertile window. Here, we are not fertile, and here we are not fertile. Here we are fertile in this 30-day cycle. We're going to talk about the little bit shorter cycles too. Okay, so here the egg is released. What is happening is that it's a shift that is taking place. You could divide this cycle into 2 different phases. The estrogenic low temperature phase, the follicular phase when the follicles are growing until ovulation. When ovulation has happened, there will be this hormone secreting gland that stays inside of the ovary, the white one, and it will secrete something called progesterone. Progesterone is a less heard of hormone, but it's as important. It's very important for female health. And this is why we talk about, as fertility awareness instructors and educators, about menstruation as the 5th vital sign. It's the vital sign for women that you are thriving, that you are healthy, that you are alive, etc. So it's really important that we ovulate, because only when we ovulate we will have a real menstruation. If we are not ovulating, we can have a discharge bleed. Like if any of you have been on birth control pills or having hormonal IUDs, you will be bleeding every now and then, but it's not because of an ovulation. It's mainly because of a discharge bleed, because the inside of the womb, the endometrial lining that we bleed out as menstruation, it has to shed every now and then. Right, so the progesterone that is being produced in the ovary will suppress the estrogen. Progesterone is a calming, soothing hormone, while estrogen is like a building, a little bit more aggressive, creative hormone. So estrogen will build, it makes breasts and hips, and it will build the endometrial lining, the inside of the uterus, make it thick. And progesterone will refine it and settle it and hold it into place. And if any one of you have been pregnant, I am pregnant now, I strongly recommend it. It's really nice. You have a lot of progesterone. And progesterone is important because it balances out our estrogen. If we have only estrogen, the endometrial lining will build and the breast will, like, it's a lot of building instead of progesterone is like refining and calming and settling. And the progesterone also make a high temperature. So you've gone from a low temperature in the first part of the cycle to a high temperature in the second part of the cycle. And what progesterone does, since it calms down estrogen, is that this cervical mucus will dry up. This nature's gate, the plug that was there, will be back. There's been a flow, nature's gate have been open for sperm to come inside, and that now nature's gate will close. Maybe you will have another few days or 1 day of mucus before it will dry up. And here all along, hopefully you have dry days. And dry days mean that you will be infertile. The green means infertile. The progesterone and the yellow body in the ovary that is there producing progesterone, always secreting. This is our hormone, like secreting glands. This is like the female gonads. This is the representative of the testicles in the man. Okay, this is where the estrogen and the progesterone is made. So this yellow body in the ovary only has a life length of 12 to 16 days, which means that the period from when you ovulate till you start to bleed is the same. It's basically always the same, and it's a stable period. This period, though, from the first day of menstruation till ovulation, it's not stable. It can be 15 days, as in this case. It can be 7 days. It can be up to a year if you are under stress, malnourished, or any other pathological reasons. If you're on birth control pills, it can be 10 years before your next ovulation. Huh? So this phase is unstable. If you're flying to New York here, your partner breaks up, or a relative gets sick, or you are in an accident, you will not ovulate 6 days later. Your ovulation will be postponed. Okay? So ovulation is always like, it depends on what is happening in your life here, if you will be regularly ovulating. And we want regular ovulation. It's great with regular ovulation because you will ovulate and then you will be bleeding, right? So you have this progesterone phase. Progesterone is really important because it balances out estrogen. If we have too much estrogen, we have too much growth, which is like, I'm not going to say that you get breast cancer, right? But one of the reasons that we get, like, it's too much cellular growth with only estrogen. We need the balance of progesterone. Progesterone is like calming, soothing, balancing hormone, okay? I have to take clothes off. I'm getting so warm. Yeah. Okay. Striptease. Okay. So let's just, before we move on to the next thing, we only have like, we're just going to do 1 hour today. You can have more of this beautiful nectar knowledge if you jump on the train with us later. Um, but what is a very common myth is that you cannot get pregnant when you are having your menstruation. But what if the case is that your cycle is only 26 days? From the first day of bleeding till the next day of bleeding. That is your whole cycle. This cycle, in this case, is only 26 days. And this woman in particular, she has quite a long bleeding. She's bleeding for 8 days. And then she's starting to get cervical mucus at the same time as she's bleeding. Her cervical mucus is mixing with her menstrual blood. You know that it was 12 people in this workshop yesterday in Stockholm, and I asked everyone to raise their hands. Can women get pregnant when they menstruate? And everybody raised their hand on no. Everybody. So this is a myth. And this myth is now being torn into pieces because we know that in cervical mucus, sperm can survive for up to 6 days. I've had 2 clients this far that have become pregnant because they thought that they couldn't get pregnant when they were menstruating, but they had cervical mucus at that time and the sperm survived. No? It's interesting. So this woman, let's say she ovulated on maybe on day 13. So she had a 13-day luteal phase. This is called the luteal phase, the post-ovulatory phase before starting to bleed again. She had a 13-day, she was ovulating on day 13. So somewhere here, there was, right? So this is, so it can look very different. And this is why, like, it's good to have this information. It's good to have insight and knowledge. And this is why I talk about fertility awareness as a chance, and it's a way of empowering ourselves. It's a way of really starting to understand who we are in relationship to our bodies and into our cycles. So learning to surf your hormones, learning to understand the estrogenic part, the progesterone, progesterone part, and how they are different, and how can we live our lives according to the cyclicality instead of according to the linear. Because we are all brought up in a society that is based on patriarchal structures, and the patriarchal structures are based upon like a manly figure. So they're very linear. They're constantly producing progesterone. They are like not more stable in that way, but they're like more constant. They're like, we're like producing on a daily basis, all the time happening like this, right? The female cycle is more like this, like it's wave-like, it's more circular and spiraling and coming back, doing this wave-like movements. And society is not built on those wave-like movements. It's not built on the spiraling. It's more built on a linear way of thinking. And so this is why we need to like take our cycles back. Like we need to regain strength in standing in that, no, I am this cyclical being. And even though my society around me and my community is not living that way, I would like to have a world where women are pregnant, where women are breastfeeding, where women are menstruating, and that we could allow for these wave-like movements. There will be parts in your cycle where you are all like, I want to do everything. I could carry a mountain. I can do all of this and that. And there will be parts in your cycle where you need to retreat and only take care of yourself. So this is like the core of fertility awareness. Like, how can we give ourselves, how can we let the sacred feminine resurrect inside of us, so that we can let the sacred feminine resurrect everywhere like outside of us. We can invite this. It's very ancient, right? The mother worshipping cultures, the cyclical way of living with nature, of living with our natural bodies and with the cycles of the moon, the cycles of the seasons. Yeah, it's very ancient. It's just we are taking it back now, and fertility awareness is one of the ways that we are reconnecting with this. I will never forget when I was having a session with one of my teachers, or I call her the Oracle. She's the principal of my school, and she was like, "You think this is about charting? Like, do you think this is about like noticing your mucus and blah blah blah?" Or noticing fertility awareness is like noticing how do you feel in your breasts, like how do you feel in your skin, like how do you feel emotionally, what does it feel like in your yoni? You take all of it. But she was like, no, but this is about the resurrection of the sacred feminine, the resurrection of the sacred feminine inside of you so she can take her place in the world outside of us. And I cried so much. I just cried and cried because I've been longing for this my whole life. And this is what the Be Woman Sisterhood is about. That we are coming back together. We are no longer in this allowing the patriarchal structures to pull us apart. We're not allowing that anymore. We are coming together. We are creating strength and community through supporting each other, teaching each other, instead of having to turn towards the patriarchal structures again and again for them to provide for us. We are providing for each other. So yeah, I'm inviting all of you to just spread this, share this, and connect with your wombs. Just feel your cervix, feel your womb, both physically and emotionally and spiritually. Just like connect with her. Wow, she's so amazing. She's such a place of a lot of pleasure and a lot of beauty and inspiration. All right. Okay, so we've done almost an hour. I was thinking that if you have any questions now, I will be happy to answer them. If you want to write I can see in the comments. If you have any questions about, I've been drawing and talking a lot about the cycles and everything. So if there's anything that has been popping up, I could talk for hours, as you can see. So please share your questions if there are any. If there aren't any, I will slowly start to finish off. Hmm. Okay, so common questions that I got a lot yesterday was about how birth control pills work. And birth control pills kind of shut down our own hormonal system. So remember I was talking about how it works in the brain, that the brain is like the messenger to the ovaries, telling the ovaries like you can do this now and you can do that now, you can ovulate, or it's time to menstruate, and so on. But birth control pills, it's like we're fooling our bodies that um that we have enough hormones already. We're fooling our body that it's enough. So the hypothalamus or the pituitary and the hypothalamus in the brain are like, oh, but we don't need to tell the ovaries to mature eggs and produce estrogen because there's already all of this. It's synthetic, but we're fooling the brain that it's our own bodies. But the synthetic hormones and our own hormones are very different, and they do very different things in the body. And mainly what they do is that they create a lot of imbalance. So what we need to do is to have our own hormones that support us. And this is a very important part of being a woman, having a healthy cycle, having healthy hormones, is to have our own hormones and to have this balance all the time between estrogen and between progesterone. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, there's so much to be said. There's so much that I would like to say, but mainly what I would like to say is, oh, there are a lot of comments here. Shit, I missed out. Oh shit, I didn't see them. Okay. Where are we in the cycle when we breastfeed and don't have our periods? I have heard it's like climacteriet, but maybe it's more like the first phase of the cycle. Yeah, good question. Linda Maria Hed is answering, where are we in the cycle when we breastfeed and don't have our periods? I have heard it's like climacteriet. It's not true, but maybe it's more like the first phase of the cycle but extended. Good question. So when we are breastfeeding, we are in this part, or we're not even in this part yet. Like we ovulated and we were fertilized and we've been pregnant, super high of progesterone the whole way. A lot of progesterone is good for us. I always tell women, go get pregnant, it's really good for you. Because it balances out. It will make our menopause better, I promise. Balances out the estrogen. We're very estrogen dominant. So it's more like staying in this phase. We have a lot of progesterone. When we breastfeed, we still have more progesterone in our body. A lot of oxytocin, a lot of prolactin. And we need to get, we're like jumping this period, and we're here somewhere when we're breastfeeding. We're like standing here like, we're postponing the ovulation. We're suppressing our estrogen, postponing this part. And eventually, there's something called lactic amenorrhea method, LAM. Lactic amenorrhea method is when you're suppressing your fertility with the help of breastfeeding. It's very, like, the more the baby suckles from the breast, the longer it will take for you to start to ovulate. So this is actually where you are, Linda Maria Hed. You are waiting for this part, the estrogen, to get so high that you will start to create mucus until you get to ovulation. So you will not have any menstrual blood to start with. You will not have the obvious red flow that we call it. You will have the white flow, as we call it, to start with, and then you will have the red flow. But if you are not using fertility awareness, this can be hard to distinguish, because every time the baby comes to your breast, you will also have arousal fluid. Okay, there's a lot to it. But yeah, thank you. Which period is the safe period when you can't get pregnant? That's also a really good question. Aida Aslani has been asking, which period is the safe period? So basically, the safe period is when there's no fertile mucus leading up to ovulation. So in the picture before, we had a safe period here. Yet this is not as safe as this one. When you know that ovulation has happened, and the egg actually only can be fertilized at 12 to 24 hours. That is like the big, whoa, aha. 12 to 24 hours the egg can be fertilized. No more than that. Our fertile window is from when we start to get fertile mucus till ovulation. When ovulation has happened, temperature has been rising, this mucus has dried up because progesterone is suppressing it. There's no more egg to fertilize, right? Cannot happen. So this we could call safe period. But then you need to be very sure of when you've ovulated. You need to take your temperature every day. You need to know. That's why we're using these thermometers to take our basal body temperature every day. And then we're using these charts to know when did what happen. Like we're putting in our, this is a bad example. We're putting in our stamps to know what happened what day. Was there mucus? Was there blood? Was there any other discharge? How did I feel? What did I breast feel like? What kind of sex did I have? Blah, 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 blah. So this is the period when you can't get pregnant. I think we've been fooled like most of our life to think we can get pregnant all the time. Men can fertilize a fertile woman all the time. Men are always fertile. Lingam carriers are always fertile. Womb carriers / women are fertile when we have fertile mucus. The nectar looks like egg white, transparent, stretchy stuff. That's when we are fertile. leading up to ovulation. How to balance to more progesterone? That's also a really good question. So, progesterone is right. How can I be? Progesterone is really dependent on that we do not stress too much. Stress breaks down progesterone because there is a pre-hormone to progesterone that's called, okay, it's long and a little bit, pregnenolone. Pregnenolone can become either cortisol or progesterone. Cortisol is a stress hormone. When our when our stress hormones are happening, like when we're like stressing to the bus in the morning, or our boss is like scolding us, or we're fighting with our partners, or we're drinking too much coffee or caffeine, we will have cortisol. And cortisol will always steal from progesterone. It's called the progesterone steal. Like if you're interested in sexual steroid metabolism, you can check it out. The progesterone steal, it's happening all the time, and that is one of the reasons why we get a lot of more PMS. For example, I I noticed that women that get off coffee and start doing mindfulness and yoga and breathing exercises, they get less PMS because the PMS is often a lack of progesterone and estrogen dominance. So our adrenal glands that is sitting on the top of our kidneys is producing and secreting cortisol and adrenaline. And cortisol and adrenaline will always be stealing. Like the fertility will always be like put on hold. If the lion is chasing you in the savannah, you will be like, you're needing your cortisol, right? You have to run. So that's like basically what you can do. You can practice letting go of your stress, like having less of a stress response, less caffeine. But there's also many other things, like when it comes to diet and minerals and vitamins and like nutrition that you can do as well. Of course, we can't really get into that now, but it's a really good question, Satya Jakobin. Sylvia, I've been on birth control pills for 10 years now. Does this mean I have not been ovulating for 10 years, really? I feel so connected from my body. So Sylvia is asking if she has been on birth control pills for 10 years, if that means she has not been ovulating. And that is the way. Right, Sylvia, you're right. You have been, when you started your birth control pills somewhere after your first menstruation or in your last menstruation, this part have just been on postpone. You've been here all the time because your body is full of the synthetic hormones, and the synthetic hormones are telling the brain that you don't need to tell the ovaries to start maturing eggs and produce estrogen that will create all of this mucus that sperm can survive in. Okay, so it's yeah, so you're in this phase. No, none of your own estrogen and your own progesterone. I know it's like really hard, because we haven't been fooled, but we haven't been told the whole truth, right? They didn't lie to us, maybe, but they didn't tell the whole truth, and they didn't tell it in a way that is like respectful of our bodies. But we have the chance now to learn fertility awareness. Every woman can learn it, and eventually many of you can teach it too. Yay. So this is there's some more comments. We'll do another few questions, but then we're going to round off. Mm. So yeah, so for you who are in Stockholm or Järna or even Sweden area, I will be starting a course on the 16th of February. We will be here in my workshop to start with. And then it's divided. One part is in Stockholm, in a beautiful place called Isis Goddess Center. I've been there all weekend just doing Qigong, and it's been so nice. And one will be here in Järna. So there'll be one course in Järna, one course in Stockholm, and there's always online courses that are happening. So you can sign up. You just email me through Wahini. I have my page Wahini here on Facebook. I can write it in the comments too. So, yeah, a lot of thanks you. So, we're going to round off now. For you who would like to share this with your sisters, this is recorded, so you can just share it with whomever and invite them to the Be Woman community and the Be Woman sisterhood, and they can look at these videos and gain some knowledge. And like I said, I will be a part of Sharadas and the Be Woman sisterhood training. So if you want more of this, there's plenty more to talk about, and there's plenty more healing to do together through breath and movement and inquiry. So yeah, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for being able to teach and share. This is really, I want to devote my life to this service to womankind, and you all make my heart melt so much, and I'm so happy, so happy. So with that said, thank you all that have been joining, and like I said, just carry the message on. Contact me. My name is Disa Mineur. I will write here in the comments a little bit about how to find me if you're interested in more. I give one-on-one sessions on Zoom here online, and I also teach these courses, and I will be part of the Be Woman sisterhood. So, mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you so much. Thank you. Bye. Om du avslutar den här live-videon nu kan du välja om du vill spara. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to save the video. Sharda, are you there? I think I just... Om du avslutar den här videon nu kan du välja om du vill spara eller ta bort den.